Alright, today I want to talk about a couple of methods that you might use if you don't want to cut down a tree with a chainsaw or any kind of chopping or sawing method. And one of those ways is what I'm doing to this tree. It's been burning at the base for a couple weeks. One of the trunks has already gone out of this area right here, and I'm now getting ready to send down that section of it, and of course this section will have a lot more burning left to do. But the idea is that you just burn it off at the stump. Kind of does a couple things. It gets the tree down with a very short stump, and I'll use this metal to put over the top of the burn when it's burning, so that it directs as much heat as I can back to the tree. But one of the reasons you might want to do that is because the tree is too big to actually cut with a chainsaw. Or in this case, I have lots of trunks that are sort of individual trees that make it very difficult and quite dangerous to cut down the tree as if it is one piece anyway. The other thing is, this one had a bunch of fencing wire in it, and I obviously don't want to use my chainsaw on that. So that's a really good way to get rid of a really big tree if you've got weeks to do it. And this is going to go pretty soon. I think I'm going to give it a little push in a minute. But one of the other ways I'll cut down a tree or take down a tree is with a stump bucket. I will just dig it up more or less. And this one, you can see I did that by just digging around and making this hole big enough so then I could loosen up the roots and then push it over. And you can see these trunks, I kind of go up a ways and push on them with the stump bucket to get it to go over. And that one's over that way. But let's hop on the Bobcat and see if we can't get this section of this tree to go on down. And you can see I did cut some on the back side of this tree to kind of facilitate it burning down low on the outside, and that can be somewhat helpful. I've got that one little section right there that likes to hang onto it, and hopefully this will give me a good pushing point. For pushing it over. And you can see the fire from the other side is starting to come through there. Now, well, I gotta get the belt on or this thing won't do anything. And you can see from that sticker that says, hey, don't fall out and kill yourself. But you want to have that seatbelt on, you don't want to bypass it or anything. So now I'm going to put the bucket up and then turn it towards the tree, and we'll see if we can push this thing over. And you can see it starting to separate there at the base. I may need to give it a little harder push. helping me a lot. Together, and it's really hard to even burn it through there, because that'll be a lot of times there'll be a moisture that gets down in there and everything that keeps it from turning over or falling over. If I got it hung up, it should be pretty free of that other tree. That's the other thing you don't want to do, is this is probably not a good method if you're close to a building or something. You want this to be away from structures and such. Some more, I don't know. I'll give it one more try. Maybe what I should do is get around the other side and turn it from that direction. Don't worry about that, I'm just low on gas. off sign. You want the seatbelt on when you're driving. And right now that thing really could go anytime, so I don't want to be anywhere underneath it. And that thing is kind of under some pressure right now with that big branch hanging out there. And I think if I can get it past that other tree better, it'll just fall over of its own weight mostly. Alright, had another tree next to it, that little one. It's kind of been burning up when I had bigger fires near it. But this is a pretty small fire just to get that last piece done. And I was hoping that that little section right there had a little root down in that area that I thought was nearly burned through, and it would just let go. But this piece, the piece that's actually hanging on, is a section that was yet another tree that grew in right here. So you can see that crack. That's kind of what makes trees really tricky from a standpoint of cutting them down, because you don't know what part you need to cut inside there to make that tree fall over, because those trunks will all just be kind of mushed and twisted together and won't have a good indication of how to notch it and things like that, because there may be strange connective tissue in there. Should have put the bucket to the ground before I started that maneuver. The seatbelt light. There it goes. Sometimes it's hard to get it to go off. Over. May not be completely disconnected, but that, now that I've got it down, that fire can get around there a little better and burn up the parts that are still not done. And you can see that other part that I thought was just a branch coming out of there was actually another tree, which hasn't been burned off yet. So we'll just keep burning and burning and burning until this thing eventually gets all pushed down. You can see I cut off a couple of them that were facing out towards the neighbor's property. I didn't want to dig up their ground too much with the trees falling or have it burning, and I don't know when it might fall and they might be outside. So that was just kind of a concern for keeping them less inconvenienced by it. Well, like, subscribe, and thanks for watching.